feeling stressed, burnt out, disconnected, and just stuck, and you want your mojo back. Hi, I'm Linda Joy Ben. I'm an international speaker, best-selling author, and transformational catalyst, and founder of the Ben Method, which is a revolutionary approach to healing, self-care, and transformation. Using my Ben Method, I've also healed my own body of cancer and autoimmune medication-free. Now I work with others, empowering them to reclaim and come back into alignment with their soul's mission and to restore their balance and freedom in their life, and then jump out of bed and go, wow, I feel fantastic. I love my life. I have the best life. And then spread that happiness out to their loved ones and everyone that they come in contact with. If you would like to reclaim your mojo, let's connect, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Maybe your body's not against you. Maybe the pain you're feeling is your body trying to tell you something. You know, your body's symptoms are not purely physical. They always have an emotional and energetic component as well. If you'd like to learn how to assist your body's natural healing process by clearing blocked energies and understanding your body's messages, I invite you to enroll in my step-by-step course, Talk to Your Cells, because you are so much more powerful than you know.
Well, welcome everybody to another Mindful Monday. You know, we're all on a journey, and sometimes those journeys have challenges. However, here at Mindful Mondays, you do not have to face those challenges alone, because we believe we can do more together, and we're here to support you holistically and without judgment. So thank you for joining us today. Now, I am really excited about my guest today. Is another person that's into holistic health, and I always love learning about the new technologies and stuff that we have out there. But my guest today is so passionate about helping others to heal holistically that he has come out of retirement. Dr. Kenneth Krieger has spent many years as a chiropractor specializing in spinal trauma, and he's the founder and developer of Sequential Spinal Balancing Technique. However, his passion continues to help society change their lifestyle habits, including their diet, exercise, and supplementation, and it has increased with his new groundbreaking technology. It's the innovation of BioPhotonic Scanner and the Prysm IO device, and it helps people to enhance their health from a cellular level. I'm on a roll today. So please welcome Dr. Kenneth Krieger, otherwise known as Dr. K.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here today, Laura. You know, you and I have so many things in common, and we have that distinct mindset and heart set that we just want to help people. And I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, the more you and I started sharing back and forth, it's like, oh, we do have a lot of commons, because I know you're an avid car guy too. So
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So you specialized, you were a chiropractor for a lot of years. What made you decide to come out of retirement? Because been retired for what, almost 17 years now?
Well, actually, when I started doing this cellular scanning, I had been retired 17 years. In May, I'll be retired from practice 20 years.
Wow.
So I practiced 34 years. I've been around a long time. I loved it. It was everything to me. Chiropractic saved my mother's life. She was going to commit suicide, and she had migraines so severely, and nothing was helping her. And this is late 40s, early 50s. And that's when a lot of people thought chiropractic was total quackery, if you will. And she had to go to a chiropractor behind my dad's back. He was not going to allow her to go. And she went to Dr. Harold Smith. He's since passed away a number of years ago, but this was 1954. And I remember her whole life changing. Within about 4.5, 5 months, her migraines subsided, and she became a proponent for health and wellness through chiropractic care, and ended up working for him actually as an assistant, a front desk assistant. And she developed the x-rays at that time when you had to dip them, just like I did when I first went into practice. And it changed our lives. His son and I were the same age. We went to the same church. And Craig and I became very close friends. We've been friends for over 70 years. And he's still in practice a couple days a week, but I bailed out a number of years ago because of just doing way too much. And that's one of the things that, as you know, many practitioners do. They work way too many hours. I was working 60 hours a week plus, seeing 100 patients a day. And people say, "How did you do that?" And I said, "Well, you work a lot of hours." But I loved it, and I had a great staff, and we called it controlled chaos. But we got to help a lot of people, and I was heavy into nutrition and essential oils, and I was doing a lot of different things, and I ended up writing the technique manual for sequential spinal balancing, and I've been all over the world, and I taught the technique, but that stopped a number of years ago. I was tired of travel, and when I discovered the technology we're using now, I came out of retirement because, as you know, people are being duped with the supplementation that's available out there. It's terrible. It does not absorb at the cell, and we can prove it with a non-invasive, now coming up in the next month or two, 15-second scan through the index finger. It's pretty amazing. I can go on and on. You can hear my passion.
Oh yeah, no, it is incredible things. And I don't know, I guess I was almost floored to find out that chiropractic's been around since 1940, 1950, because I remember early 90s or whatever, it was still kind of being looked at as quackery or not a true mode, and you couldn't get it covered, on your insurance. It was always one of those things that if you wanted to do it, you were going to pretty much do it out of your own pocket.
Well, actually, chiropractic started in 1895, and my mom got a hold of it in the early 50s. And when I was in seventh grade, I saw what it did for her. And we all became patients, even my dad. And we became very close friends. And when I was in seventh grade, I felt like that's what I was placed on this planet to do. And that's why I made the decision then to become a chiropractic physician. And I started in 1972. If you could, that's hard for me to believe. It's been a long time, but I loved it, and it was everything. And so it's been around a long time, but I think insurance actually ruined our profession, and it ruins a lot of people's profession because insurance companies dictate care, and it's a terrible thing that we have. The system that we have now is broken in the medical system, as everyone knows. We don't have healthcare; we have managed sick care. And you and I are here as just two individuals amongst thousands that have decided that we can, through innovation, through truth, through bringing out what really is happening with the body, with the mind, with the soul, with the spirit, that we can change people's lives around. Because the number one way to change what we're having is through diet and lifestyle change. We do that, and as you know, we can change the world. And I think I mentioned this to you when we talked the first time. People would say, "Well, this is a big elephant to eat," and I said, "Well, you eat that elephant one bite at a time," and that's what you and I are doing, and many other people out there. And that's why I'm so excited about being here with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really what people should do all the time. And you're kind of like living proof, but at least you recognized it, because even people in the most, professions to help people feel healthier push themselves too far and don't really take care of their own self-care and their own mindfulness. Because I know my chiropractor I had back in Colorado can't practice anymore. His own back and stuff is, so messed up, and he had to take a change. But you're living proof. At least you recognized it, and then you're more about preventative, which you and I are both about preventative, and not fixing things after the fact, but keeping it from happening in the first place.
Well, unfortunately, we want to be proactive rather than reactive, because that's what care
I'm
is.
sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, proactive, not pre. Yeah.
Yes, and reactive care is what we have. We have some of the best emergency physicians in the world. Don't get me wrong, but when we look at it from that perspective, that point of view, a lot of what's happening now, diabetes and obesity and people who smoke, We look at cancer going off the charts, and yet we're spending all of this money on healthcare, which it really isn't, and it's not conducive to changing the lifestyle of people. Especially, I found out that the Americans spend the last 12 years of their life in sickness, and we're number one in the world for that amount of time. And and why is that? Because I believe the approach is wrong. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm still here, bucking the trend and having a ball and getting this.
And isn't it grand? It's always fun to buck the
It,
trend.
it is so much fun because people are amazed that they didn't know about a lot of the things that you and I do.
Right.
And when my mom used to tell everyone, or tell me, she said, "Son, you need to go out and educate them." And so that's what I've done my whole career, if you will, is educating people because they don't know. And I look for smart doctors, and I'll have a doctor look at me like, "What? You're telling me I'm not smart?" No, they're smart. They have to be smart to be a doctor, but they're not smart in nutrition because they're not taught. They're
Right.
not smart in business because they're not taught, and they're put into a system that has been going on for 100 years or more, that they think that they have to be contrived into that system,
Hmm.
and they have to work in that system, and we teach them there's another way. And as you've been doing this quite a bit of time, and that's what I loved about you and I speaking the other day. It's like I was talking to my best friend.
I know it's fun how once we find each other, we like all come together because there's a lot more of us out there than you think. You know,
Absolutely.
and I love it because I have come into across a number of people that have been in the healthcare system and aren't happy or know that it's not getting to the root cause to helping people, and so they have changed. And you mentioned approaches, so can you share maybe a pivotal moment in your career that shaped your approach to the holistic health and wellness?
Well, actually, I've been into that my entire career, but when I found out that probably, and this is um, my personal approach, if you will. What I garnered over the years is 98% of supplementation out there does not absorb well. You know that.
Yeah.
Uh, People know that, and I ask people all the time, "Show me your toxicology reports." They don't have them. Show me that you actually can benefit the cell with what you're recommending or what you're taking, because they'll do it on a wing and a prayer, as you know, and
Right.
thinking that, well, I'll use vitamin D3 or I'll use heavy amounts of calcium magnesium combination. Well, how do they know it's absorbing at the cell? And what we're doing is more accurate than blood, because blood only goes back, as you know, 1 or 2 days, maybe three at the most.
Right.
And yet we're looking back into the derma and finding out from 4 to almost 8 weeks what the person's cellular wellness is. And I like to call it my lifestyle lie detector, because that's really what it is. People say, well, I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and then we scan them and then we find out they have a terrible scanner score. But then there's another entity there, as you know, and that's how depleted the foods are now.
Yes.
Their nutritive value is terrible. I had one of the scientists at our company. I asked him, how bad are the foods today? And the example he gave me is an orange, and its vitamin C content in 1950 was so much. How many would you have to eat today to get that same nutritive value of vitamin C? And it's between 20 and 25. Well, how are you supposed to get enough out of your diet? How about all the other foods? And then
You'll,
you
you'll
and
have
I,
more. You'll have more issues from the sugars, from all the natural sugars, than you will from trying to get the nutrients out of them.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, what people are hearing from me today and what they hear from you is we're speaking to the choir in general, because they know a lot of these things already, but a lot of people don't know what they can do about it. And that's the key element, that there is something out there that can garner a test, a biomarker, if you will, how well that cell is working, and those little mitochondrial engines, are they really able to work to their capacity? Do they have enough nutrition to do so? And are the carotenoids at the cell going to guard the cell well enough in order to prevent them from having free radicals and oxidative stress attack that cell. And that's the detriment that we have in society today. And we can go on and on,
Yeah.
especially with all of the sugar that people are eating, and they don't have any idea because it's hidden. It has all different kinds of names, as you know. I think, what is there, 42 different names for sugar?
There's a lot.
So there's a lot. I'm
There's a
not
lot.
sure exactly, but that I'll just throw that figure out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so, and you and I, that's the thing is I've done the voice scan for people, and I know your scan is different, which I'm excited to find out about, because there's just so many more ways that we have that we can tell more accurately. But it never ceases to amaze me. There are still so many people out there that when the scan shows that they're lacking with this supplement or they're lacking with this vitamin, they're like, but I take that all the time. And it's like, and you try to explain to them, it's not what you're taking, it's how you're absorbing it. And is it absorbing it? Is it getting to your cellular level? But again, we have all the ads, the commercials, and people, oh, this is the best, or something, may have his name on it that sounds like, oh, that's the best one. But they're really not, because there's a lot of synthetic and there's a lot of processing and stuff, to them. So,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. And people will buy something off the internet, as you know. And I was really dismayed when I found out why people buy a certain supplement. And I'm asking this to a lot of people now. What do you believe is the number one reason a person buys a certain supplement? And I was shocked to find out it's the color of the label. It has nothing to do with what's in it.
Wow.
And the label's blue and green. They tend to buy that product more than any other. I was shocked. And secondarily, price. Oh, that calcium's calcium. I'll just buy the $3 calcium. And even if it's a $23 calcium, that doesn't mean it's going to absorb, as you know. So you and I are trying to educate people to the fact that everything has to work in synergy. It has to work together. It has to have everything in it for D to absorb, for C to absorb, for copper to drive vitamin C, whatever it might be. And they're trying to take individual macronutrients, and they won't go past the blood-bowel barrier, and they wonder why they're not absorbing. Uh, well, how about this? I have an IV clinic that's less than a mile from my house. And I went in there, and they're just coming back from lunch, and I asked them if they can guarantee that the nutrition that they're putting in the IV is actually absorbing to the cell. And they said, well, it has to, it's in the blood. And I said, well, let's find out with you. And all four of them were doing IV nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And all four of them scanned the same as an average American. Their tanks are half full. And they were all shocked. And we all know, those of us who are in this industry who have done the research, just because it's in the blood doesn't mean it's going to get to the cell. And all of a sudden, their eyes lit up. Obviously, they didn't want to have anything to do with the device, because that would have ruined what they're doing, because it proved that what they're doing isn't working. So it's really interesting what am I trying to say? That dichotomy is so amazing, because people all of a sudden find out the truth, and you know what the scripture says. It says, when you know the truth will make you free. And people aren't free, as you know.
No, instead they dig in, because you can't, your device has to be wrong, because that would, otherwise it would make them wrong, or their stuff, what they're doing, not right. And no one necessarily wants to hear that. But I'm actually shocked to hear that it's from the color of the label. I was figuring it was going to be because for whatever celebrity looks like this and you can look like that if you take this, is what their number one reason was. I was really shocked for you to say that it was the color of the label.
Yes, and I was surprised too. And all they're doing when they buy something off the internet is they're playing chemical lab on their own body, because these companies don't do toxicology testing. They don't.
Mm-mm.
And it just amazes me that they don't. What we're doing is we test for over 600 toxins, herbicides, pesticides, arsenic, lead, heavy metals, all of those things at 1 part per 50 billion. Now, what does that mean? I asked we have 70 full-time scientists on staff. Can you imagine in a nutraceutical company? It's unheard of. And I'll get to that more in as we go. But I asked him, well, what does 1 part per 50 billion mean? It means nothing to me. It sounds good.
Yeah.
He said, well, take an Olympic-sized swimming pool and fill it with purified water. Have someone put 1 drop of iodine in it, circulate the water for an hour. We can still detect it. Well, that's pretty impressive. And what do most companies test at if they test for toxicology at all? 1 part per million, maybe 1 part per billion, which is very rare. But people, again, are playing chemical lab on their own body. And that, to me, I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I used, and I won't say the names, I was using 3 professional lines of supplementation in my practice, actually 4 over a period of time. And when people, they can go to my website and they can see what the scores mean, that type of thing. But we want to see a score of at least 50,000. And that's an A score. 40 to 50,000 is a B, and each 10,000 increment down goes down to F, which is 20,000 or less. Well, I had an F score. I was 14,000. It's the same as if I was a smoker or a diabetic or fighting cancer. It's amazing that I was not absorbing anything at all. I would have very expensive urine. That's basically what it was.
Well, if you put that, yeah, expensive
So
urine.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking, man, the sewer line is getting all my money. So that's what prompted me to get to start doing this, because I was told, just as you are told, and many people out there are told, we have the best you can buy. We do all the scientific studies. We know that this supplementation works. Well, do they really? And the difficulty with that is they don't.
Yeah.
And that's what you and I and those who are watching this television program are up against, because the system is, should I use this term? I believe the system's rigged. Would you agree with that?
I think it's they use it to whatever is going to be advantageous for them. Because there's a ton of companies out there, and almost all of them have some kind of scientist or something that has backed up something. But is it really everything that's there, or is it just backing up what they want them to prove
Mm-hmm.
to buy to have you sell the product?
Or they'll pick out one scientific study on. I'll go back to D3 because a lot of people take it. Oh, this study proves that D3 will do this, 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 and this. Now they're going back to the symptomatic picture rather than the overall health of the cell. So does D3 actually do that? Well, it might have in that study, but does it mean that that D3 is getting to the center of the cell where it's going to do its job, if you will? I hate
Right.
to use that term, but you know what I'm saying. And that's what we're up against, because do these large companies want people to be well? That's my question. I mean, we can answer
I would
that.
say no.
You
They
can't
would
make
be out of
any money.
business.
That's right. You can't make any money if you're not selling things. So, um, and that is not what propels me in what I'm doing. It's not about the money. That's a side effect of helping people. That's a good effect, and you should be rewarded for helping people. Anything that's given away, as you and I both know, is abused because it's free, and there's no value placed upon it. So we don't want to do what we're doing for free. We shouldn't. Uh, we've gone through a lot, you and I,
Yeah.
and those that are watching. We've gone through people shaking their finger at us saying, hey, what you're doing is not pure science. Well, I have the pure science now. We have 70 full-time scientists on staff, and I have thousands of studies. We have 110 peer-reviewed studies scientific studies that prove what we are doing is actually what we are doing. And why would the last 3 Olympic teams use our supplementation? Because it works, it's proven to work, and it will pass everything on banned substances control. The TGA in Australia, that's the Therapeutic Goods Administration. That's their FDA, if you
Mhm.
will.
Okay.
They treat supplementation as a drug, and you have to pass their standards. And we pass their standards with flying colors. And does everybody? No, they don't. So I can go anywhere in the world and pass all the standards. And we're in 50 countries, going into India next month. It's just exploding because people are finding out the truth. And that's what's important for me, because I was being duped all those years by
Yeah.
the salespeople. I'm not a salesman. I tell people all the time, I'm an opportunity connector. That's all I
Yeah.
am.
As I tell people, I am like, and no, I just like you. As if you educate people, they can make their own decision, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. So I simply give them other resources, other options, and if it's for them, it's great, because you and I both just want to see people live longer, healthier lives, and we have the power to do it if you're open to what else is available.
No, absolutely. And again, we have the longest extent of years of suffering, sickness prior to death of any country in the world. But where are we ranked when it comes to longevity? I ask people this question all the time. Let's say out of the top 50 in the world, I ask people, well, where do you think we rank? And they'll say, oh, we've got to be, in the top 10 because we have all this science. I said, really? Well, look it up. We're ranked 50th. 50th.
That does not
Yet,
surprise me.
yet, yet we spend twice as much money as any other country in the world on our system. So to me, that proves that the system is broken, and it really is. And so that's why I love, and you can hear me, I'm just so passionate about what I'm doing. I can't stop talking about it. When I first saw this technology and I started on product, I was like, as my business partner one of my business partners in Florida, her name's Deborah Crystal, would say, she was like a chihuahua on steroids, a barking chihuahua on steroids, telling people everything. She wanted everybody to know about it. And sometimes that turns people off. So we just use data. Let's use scientific data. Let's see what happens to their own scanner score, because we place a person on the product that we have available. And products, we have more than 100, but there are 4 of major products that I use. And if their scanner score does not improve in 60 to 90 days, they get 100% of their money back. Who guarantees their product will absorb to the cell? Nobody. They can't, because they don't have the device. So that's another reason I'm doing this.
So you got to tell us more about this device, this biophotonic scanner.
Uh-huh.
What does it work? How does it do? How does it work?
Well, it uses resonance Raman spectroscopy. I have to make sure my teeth are in when I say that. So, and I forgot to pull it out to show everybody, and it's in my office here. I can get it real quickly, but you use this portion of the hand. Let me make sure that's on the
Yep.
screen, right about there. Everything's backwards when I look on my screen, and you put it up against the aperture, and it sends a blue light into the derma, and what it does is it makes the carotenoids, which are the defenders of the cell, 18 of them basically begin to vibrate, and they send back a blue light, which the computer reads and tells you what your carotenoid levels are. And and I know that the higher the carotenoid levels, that means the better absorption of nutrients. Because without the absorption of nutrients, you cannot improve the carotenoid score. So that's why, and 110 scientific peer-reviewed studies later, and 10-year study done at Yale Cancer Center to prove the device works. And Huntsman Cancer Research Lab uses it. We purchased the technology from the University of Utah. They were doing scans of the human eye for carotenoid levels on age-related macular degeneration patients. And it was funded by the National Institutes of Health, of all people. And when the men that started this company discovered that technology, they said, that's what we need to make sure what we're doing is absorbing at the cell. And so they purchased the technology from them, and it was the size of an MRI machine at that time. It took 45 minutes to calibrate and 3 minutes to scan. Can you imagine calibrating 45 minutes to get one scan? And the tube was huge. And Well, $110 million later, actually more than that now, we have it the size of a football. And the new device coming soon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called the Prysm IO, and it's the size of a hockey puck. And the scan will be done through the index finger in 15 seconds. And
It's
that's
amazing how far we've come. It kind of reminds me of computers. Like when my dad was doing computers, computers used to take up an entire room, and now we're all like carrying around them essentially, in our phones and everything else. So it's just really progressed. So that's quite
this
amazing.
has so much more computing value or ability than the computer that took the men to the moon. And we carried around in our pocket. Oh, is it 10 times more? I don't know if it's that little now. It's beyond what we can imagine.
Yeah.
And I'm not a techie guy. I can fix a car, except the new ones you have to have a computer to fix the car now. But I'm not a techie guy. But hey, I'm pleased that we have the technology. We have the voice technology that you have. We have the BioPhotonic scanner that we have. We know we now can look into the body and find out if it's really working as it was intended by our creator. And the pharmacy was put into us when we were created, and man is the ones that they're the ones that screwed it up. You know, my I when I did my first scanner score, uh, mine was the same as if I was as I said, it was 14,000. It was the same as if I was a diabetic or fighting cancer or obese or drinking alcohol. And I don't do any of those things. I was eating full organic food. Well, it wasn't
Well, that's
bad.
another thing. We hide everything under an organic label, but I told people, I'm like, even organics are allowed up to 5% pesticides. It doesn't mean you don't get um, it doesn't mean you don't get subjected to all of that, even just because you're eating organic. It's probably better than the other, but everything has room for improvement. But like you were saying, with your scanner, my scanner, the thing I love about it is the fact that it's not invasive. You're not having to get needles, you're not having to get radiated to find out things. And yet we can find out so much more about what's going on. And I think the hardest thing that I've seen with people is they have a hard time wrapping their head around it and believing how can that be accurate, because that's not the environment we were raised in.
No, exactly. And I have a very good friend. He and I referred patients back and forth. He's a DO, and he insists I come in for a yearly physical. And just to appease him, I do. So when my wife and I, by the way, October 18th, we celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary. And so when we go in, when we go in for a physical, we go in together, everything together.
And that's a different kind of anniversary.
Yeah, different kind of anniversary. But I went into the doc, and we go in for a blood test prior to that. He wants to see all the values, and he looked at mine and he's just shaking his head. He said, "This is hard to believe." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? Is there something bad on there?" I knew there wasn't because I saw the test. He said, "A1C 5.3, total cholesterol 162." And that's too low, actually. I want it higher than that because we need cholesterol for our brains to function normally. And sometimes I wonder, no, I'm not going to say that. Um, and everything was perfect. He said, "You have the blood test of a 20-year-old." And I said, "I haven't been ill since I started on product. I haven't been ill one day in the last 3 years. Not one, not a sniffle, nothing." And that's the way our body should be able to work. Now, is everyone going to have that as a result? As you know, no, because we have all these environmental factors where we're being bombarded with all of the junk that's out there. So, we talk about organic. I'm going to digress. I'll back the train up. There's an organic farmer that is now, he sold his plot of land and they're building houses out there. I live in Metro Phoenix, and we're 5 million people and it's expanding all the time. Anyway, I asked him, right next to your field, his name was Devin. I said, "Devin, right next to your field is a non-organic field. And they spray with glyphosate. They spray all of this stuff." I said, "Does the wind ever blow? Does it go onto your field?" And I said, "Do you use the same water?" "Yes." that's in the same environment, but he does not use the pesticides, or he didn't use the pesticides. But that doesn't mean organic is perfect either, as you already stated. It's better. And you and I say the exact same thing. It's better, but is it really that much better? Yeah, I'll eat organic, and I still do. However, I don't trust it. I'm sorry, and I've scanned over 600 people since I started doing this, and I've only had 35 people over 50,000. That's how bad it is out there. People have no idea that they're not getting the nutrition from your food. You do, and many, and maybe most of the people watching this telecast today know that that's the case. But I grew up on the farm, and we had a half-acre garden, and we had our own fruit trees, and my mom canned because that was in Colorado, and got cold in the winter, obviously, and so we'd have really good food. That's when a tomato actually tasted like a tomato, and I can go on with that, and it's not the same. It's just not the same. So I had one man that I scanned. He was a physician in Scottsdale, and he scanned at 86,000. I remember it specifically. He was very high. And I asked him, well, what do you eat? And he said, my wife and I live on 5 acres. We have our own cow. We raised our own ducks, our own chickens. We have our own eggs that way. He said that we have a water treatment system on the property. We do not eat out at all. We only drink water. We don't drink coffee or any soda or any of that type of thing. And he said, we spend between 2 and 4 hours a day prepping food and working in our garden. And she scanned over 50,000, mid 50,000s. But how many people can do that?
Not
And
many.
secondarily, how many people would do that?
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
going
and
to.
even if they could, they're not always in the, I mean, they're building so much, like, as in your area, you'd have to move out to even find the space to do that. And it takes a lot. But yeah, that's a lot of, even our, farms are struggling and stuff because of the way things are so expensive to do. But you
Yeah,
control what you can control, and they had the ability to do it. So they took control of it. So, yeah.
exactly. And I gave him props. I said 99.999% of the population won't do what you do. But he said, we choose to live healthy until the day we die. Well, that's really what our body was intended to do. And
Right.
man has screwed it up, basically that's what it comes back to, so chlorine in water and fluoride, and just in that drinking water that people drink all the time. Oh my goodness. And some people don't have the wherewithal or the means in order to change that. They have to drink what's available to them. And some places are just terrible. And I don't even trust well water now.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't. You really can't. So,
Mhm.
in your experience, though, what are the most common lifestyle habits you see people struggling with, and how can they begin to shift those habits towards better health?
That's a perfectly great question. Uh, Lifestyle is difficult for many people because they're so busy, and they want something that's quick and easy, and that's why fast food just took off the way it did. And we know that fast food is just audaciously terrible. Uh, and I think that's the main thing that I look at when I try to help people shift their lifestyle and their eating habits around is do some food preparation for yourself, because you can get decent food, and prepare a few days or a couple days ahead where you don't have to do something every day. I think that's number one, is just getting the right foods at the right time and being able to prepare them properly, and have some value in the food that you're eating. I think that's first. And then I tell people they should stop drinking soda. Uh, that's the number one drink in America. People drink more soda than they drink water. Um, I think water is second or third, but coffee and tea are up there. And people are drinking these energy drinks, and I just shudder at that.
Yeah.
And they wonder why they might have accelerated heart rates, and they're drinking all of this junk that they feel a boost of energy, but as fast as they go up, they're going to just drop off at the same time. I used to do GTTs in my office, glucose tolerance tests, and I would have a person and their blood value. Let's say they start out at 90 milligrams per deciliter, 90, and we have them drink a little. I had them drink a little bit of orange juice, and you know how sugary it is, and all of a sudden you'd see that spike and go way up. And then usually what happens after a period of time, after the pancreas kicks in and the hormonal levels shift in the body, then it starts to bring it down naturally, that the body will do. And then it does this up and down thing until it levels back out to where you were when you started. I do a 5 hour. I wouldn't do a 3 hour. I do a 5 hour because it made a big difference to see the actual results. And I've had a number of people over the years that literally, once they had that much orange juice, and they normally don't do that, they would pass out because their blood sugar level dropped so much that they became hypoglycemic, and they couldn't function. And we'd have to force them to drink something real quick, slap them on the cheeks and have them drink more in order to get the blood sugar back up. And we wonder why people crash in the afternoon. I don't like to use that term. How about have a very difficult time in the afternoon with their energy levels, and they drink a few cups of coffee, or they drink an energy drink or something like that. So that's a lifestyle problem that I tell people you don't have to go through that, as you know, and as those who are watching know, they eat the proper foods. You're going to have this in your blood sugar levels, but it's not this and this. It's more of the, I'm trying to get this on screen, more of the nice waves. You're going to have the ups and downs when you eat, and then when your body absorbs. So I look at that as another thing that's a real problem. And to get people to change is the most difficult thing for most people. They're so used to eating, for instance, what mom fed them, and they tend to make those same foods, and what grandma fed mom, and those things in a familial tendency, the different foods that people eat because of their background, where they were raised, whether Italian or German or whatever it might be, and they wonder why they have difficulty with nutrition, because they're eating the same foods over and over and over. And variety, as you know, is the spice of life. There's no doubt about it. Now, do my wife and I eat perfect? No, I'll admit to that. I don't know many people who do, but we eat very, very cautiously, and we have a great time to go out once in a while. We went out with a doctor who's an ophthalmologist last night, and we went to a place called the what's it called? The Mellow Mushroom, and we had these pizza roll type things, and they were awesome. They tasted so good, but it was so bad for us.
I was just saying, that's why most people eat stuff, is because it tastes good. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
yes, but if you're getting tired, or your stomach's getting gassy, or your body's trying to tell you it really doesn't like it, but just because we think it tastes good, people, eat it. I mean, you mentioned the sodas. When I was younger, I used to do a lot of sodas, or being in the military doing 12-hour shifts, the No-Dos, the Vibrants, whatever. We used to kind of like do it all. But, when you stop and think about it, okay, Coke strips paint off of a car.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that is doing to your insides? I mean, and if you watch NASCAR, they're pouring it on the things just to make it sticky and grip. I mean, there's lots of things they can use Coke for,
Yeah.
but yet we think that's good. It's like putting sludge in your body, but yet we do it. A lot of people.
No, absolutely. And I tell people, I ask them this question: how many teaspoons of sugar are in a soda? And guess which one is number one from my research. I'm not going to, don't hold me to this, but I think I'm pretty good at it. And it's
I say Mountain Dew used to hold the record, and then they had Jolt that they came out for a while, which I think
that's
had
caffeine. That's caffeine.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah, Jolt was the number one with caffeine.
Yeah.
But most people don't realize how many teaspoons of sugar are in a 12-ounce can of soda. and Pepsi is the sweetest, and Coke is right up there at Mountain Dew. They're all pretty much the same. And look at the caloric content of just simple sugars that are creating a vacuum in your body that it can't fill. It can't continue filling that void. And something has to give. And that's why people get tired. That's why they begin to have difficulties with their blood sugar levels. And they have, oh my goodness, I think the statistic I looked at in 1895, the average person in this country ate 4 pounds of sugar in a year. And the last statistic that I know of was 2018, I believe. And I asked people, well, how many pounds do you think it is then? And people will say 10, 15. And it's over 100 pounds per person per year. 100 pounds. Because it's hidden in everything.
Right.
And then I don't know what your opinion is of seed oils. Now, some people say, oh, there was a big study that says seed oils have no problems. But I personally believe that seed oils are a big problem. And you start reading labels. I ask people all the time, read labels on the salad dressings, and you'll be amazed. They all have one of 3 oils in it. That's either soy, canola, or some type of vegetable oil or sunflower oil that's in it. And there was one that we found. We usually make our own because then we know what's in it. But there is one that we use as a flavor enhancer, and it's called Skinny Girl. I put in a real good advertisement for Skinny Girl.
I've had Skinny Girl before.
And they're good.
They are.
And they don't have any seed oils in them. And now, will a little amount of seed oil hurt you? No, but the problem is it's in everything. Look at soy. It's in everything. And then we look at mayonnaise.
I stopped buying it.
There are a lot of problems out there, so we make our own, or we get one that has avocado oil in it. And I love avocado oil. And most people don't realize we have one of the largest producers of olive oil in America, in Arizona. And it's called the Olive Mill. It's on the other side of the valley from where I'm at. People don't realize Phoenix is now the 5th largest city in the United States. We have a terrible smog problem here. Over 5 million people live in this valley surrounded by mountains. And we drive 68 miles to go to the olive mill to get fresh, cold-pressed olive oil from the 7,000 trees that they have there. And it tastes so good. So when I take my supplements in the morning, I'll take a swig of olive oil because the fat helps the fat-soluble vitamins absorb better. Right. And so I use it a lot. And I just love olive oil, and I love avocado oil. But most people don't want to spend the money on what is a good oil.
Yeah, so I was getting mayonnaise with avocado oil until I read the label and realized that they have canola in it as well. It's not just olive oil. They have or avocado oil. They have other oils in there, and I was like, so I just stopped.
There is one that is avocado oil only. So
okay. You'll have to share that one with me sometime, but otherwise I just stopped getting it because of all the other stuff in it. But
yes, well, and then let's go into.
Well, we got about 6 minutes left. So
oh my goodness, we're fast.
Yeah, I know our time went by, and I know we can keep going.
Oh my goodness, this has been so much.
You're a wealth of knowledge, and I know you and I are on the same track because there's so much we can do. And,
sure.
And and to help people, but. Before we wind up ending here, tell me what your vision is with the what you can do with people with the BioPhotonic. How do you help them with that, with the scanner? Or
well, we want those who are in a health and wellness industry, if you will. I hate to call it an industry, but that's what it is. To have the availability of the device so that they can scan their patients or their clients to find out how well they're absorbing, because they don't know. As you know, they don't know. And they think, well, the blood test comes back good. But again, it doesn't go back far enough to find out how well the body is utilizing what nutrition that we have. And I can help them with a revenue stream if they choose to do that. and I can help them help more people, because eventually, coming up soon, we will be able to sell the device, the IO Prysm, the Prysm IO, to practitioners, and they can sell it to their patients, where they can monitor themselves at home. And it will literally tell them eventually what they should be wearing that day because of the weather, what foods to eat because their scanner score was such and such. It will integrate with wearables, the Apple Watch, which costs $550. I love it though. And the Aura Ring, and they sold over $1 billion worth of Aura Rings this year, I think. And it goes on and on. So I can help people have this available to them in their practice or their clinic or whatever it might be, where they're not being duped when it comes to nutrition. And that's the most important thing, as you and I know. Number one way to change this whole thing around is through diet and lifestyle shift.
Diet, lifestyle, it's everything. I always tell people you can't do one without the other. You can throw all the supplements at the world at people, but if they don't change lifestyle, or they don't change their choices and how they choose to do, nothing hurts my heart more than hearing people in doctor's office saying, oh, well, my mother had this and my grandfather had this, so this is just what I have. And it's like, doesn't have to be that way. You have to genetics is only 20%, if that. And if you changed your lifestyle, your diet, the things you do, you can actually take control and change your health, and you can outlive and make your own statistics.
Exactly. And that's what you and I are here for. I just want to help people. That's all. And that's what you want to do.
Is that device, is it available only for practitioners right now?
No, anyone, it's like a blood pressure cuff. Anyone can take blood pressure. Anyone can use the device, because it's not a medical device. It's not a diagnostic tool. It's just a measuring device. And that's why it's so fantastic, because we're not regulated by the FDA. We went to them to get their approval, and they said, you don't need it because it is a measurement device. And they would have approved it as a medical device, but then we have to go through all those hurdles. So that's why they didn't have that approval. And we really don't want it. We don't want them involved, as you know, because they get involved and everything is, well, I won't go there.
Well, yeah, no, we have a friend that has been a part of that world too. And like they say, just because it's FDA approved doesn't mean it's FDA safe.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And we've had him on the show before, so people have heard him talk about that. But yeah, so, but no, you're such a wealth of knowledge, and thank you for coming on here and sharing all of that. I know there's a lot more we can go into, but we are tied to our 56 minutes.
I can't believe it went by that fast.
I know it goes by quickly.
It does.
So
I appreciate you having me on, very much so. And I appreciate now that you and I are friends, because that's more important than anything else we do, as far as I'm concerned. We have a common goal. We have a common characteristic about what we do. And I value that very much.
Thank you. Same here. I truly believe we can do more together, and, together, whether it's one person at a time or whatever, but it's the only way we can start making change is helping them one at a time, or however they come. But yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You bet. It's always a pleasure. So anyone, if you are even remotely interested or would want more information, be sure to connect with Dr. K here. He's a wealth of knowledge. Obviously, he knows about the nutrition and stuff. So get those questions answered rather than blindly following whatever you think, or find out if what you're taking is really getting absorbed in your cells and helping, because he is the gentleman to help you do that. So thank you everyone for joining us. And I hope you all have a beautiful week, and we will catch you next Monday.
Okay. Bye, everybody.